Well, here we are. It is halftime here at Game Day, and we're on week number 8. And we're on this series called Make It Count. This is actually our final week. And we're talking about Make It Stick today, creating a culture of meaningful memories. And so we've talked about this idea of an overtime performance, and as great as that is when we're watching a NBA Finals basketball game, it's a lousy parenting strategy. And so we want to take that one word overtime and make it into 2 words and parent over time, because there's more value as we approach it through the long haul. The reality is, we as parents, we want to create meaningful memories. We want to have a lasting legacy. We want to be able to have something that we can talk about with our kids for years and years to come. The question is, how do we do it? And this is something that we've probably thought about before, but I wanted just to bring it up here in this moment for us to reflect on, and that's this. We are in the middle of the content creation stage of our parenting. Whether it's a book that we're going to write, a story we're going to tell, or a movie that we're trying to produce, right now it's only going to be as good as the content that we create. And so that's where this idea of over the course of time comes into play, where we can do simple, subtle, routine investments in our children that over time something very profound can happen with our parenting. And so God actually in His wisdom knew that kids would someday start to ask questions like, what was that all about, Mom? What was that all about, Dad? And there's a very fascinating verse in Deuteronomy 6 where God is talking to Moses and telling him that exact same thing, that they're going to ask you someday, and this is what you tell them. And so if you could just listen with me to what God tells Moses here. So when your son asks you in time to come, what is the meaning of the testimonies and the statutes and the rules that the Lord our God has commanded you? Then Moses, this is what you tell him. And essentially what God tells Moses is, you tell him the story. And earlier in that passage, God essentially says, you do it when you wake up, you do it when you go to bed, you do it as you're going along life, and you write it on your doorpost, you put it up on the wall. He basically said, make this the culture that you grow up in, that you share with your children what it is that I've done for you so that they don't forget. Make sure if there's anything that they remember me, and that they fear me, and that they understand that I'm the one that's brought you through this. And that certainly was the legacy that my mom has left for me. It's the legacy that I want to leave for my kids. And my challenge to you is that will be the legacy that you would leave for your children. It's really the only story worth sharing again and again and again. And so as we kind of recap this entire season of Make It Count, I want to just again reiterate the importance of doing these things over time. Going all the way back to the beginning weeks, when we have resolve, that's a great thing, and that can create some random goals for our kids. However, when we have resolve over time, it creates routine. When we have this idea of finishing, and we finish the job and we make it happen from time to time, that's a good thing, and it can give us a sense of accomplishment. But when we do it over time, it actually communicates to our children priorities. When we have transparency and we make things personal, if we do that one time or a couple times, we can have a good conversation with our kids. But when we do it over time, it actually builds trust. When we have a culture of improvement, if we do that just once in a while, that actually leads to frustration with our children. But when we do it over time, it actually gives them a healthy sense of motivation. When we create a culture of teamwork, and if we do that just every now and then, it actually gives our children contradictory advice and directionless wisdom. However, if we strategically build that dream team over time, it builds humility and perspective and strength. And then when we create a culture of sacrifice, if we do that just once in a while or maybe one random time, that's a really nice gesture for our kids. However, if we do it over the course of time, it actually is the clearest picture of love that we can give them. And then when we create meaningful memories, if we do that every now and then, that can be a nice family vacation. However, if we create meaningful memories over time, it actually creates a lasting legacy. If we do all of those things and we build it all together, my hope and my prayer and what I believe to be true is that these things will ultimately make it count as parents.